Hi, welcome to Holmes Yoga. I'm Alex, and today we're going to be focusing on some core work. So core work is a great thing to do any time of day, but I personally find that if I can do it earlier in the morning, that I feel connected to my center and strong all day long. So for today's practice, you will benefit from having a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, you can take a beach towel or like a thick cushion and fold it up and use that. We're going to be squeezing it between the inner thighs. But go ahead and just set your block off to the side. So you have it within arm's reach. And please start by sitting on the ground with your knees bent and your feet out in front of you. Now, if your hamstrings are kind of tight and it's challenging for you to sit in this way, then go ahead and flex your feet and drag your heels up towards your sitting bones to help you move your sacrum, your lower spine, in and up, right? Hold the backs of the thighs, sit up nice and tall. And so your feet can be flexed or your feet can be on the floor, whatever feels good for you. Now from here, draw the ribs back, scoop your tailbone under, lift your pelvic floor. So there's this sense of like a jellyfish rising up through water. You're scooping your low belly back, scooping your low belly back, scooping your low belly back. And then start to roll back to the point where you feel like you kind of want to fall back. And then coming forward. And then again, pushing the heels down and away, scooping the belly back. You can use your hands on your thighs for a little support, just the fingertips. And coming forward, and scooping back, and coming forward. So right away, connecting to those deep core muscles. And then pause at that point where you feel like you want to kind of kerplunk back behind you. Take one hand behind your head. Welcome the shakes. Bring that hand to your thigh. Take the other hand behind your head. Take a breath there. Maybe take both hands behind your head. Fight for it. And then reach the arms forward. And just as slow as you can, start to roll down to the ground. Now go ahead and, I got a little adjustment there. Go ahead and take your block and place it between the upper inner thighs. So I'm turning it to the skinniest way behind the upper inner thighs. Give it a squeeze. And then play with a little bit of pelvic rocking, not so much from, using your feet to power this, but feeling neutral and then scooping out your low belly towards the floor. So you're not necessarily trying to pancake your lower back into the ground. That might happen because you're scooping so much, and then you're going to let that go. Take a nice breath, and then exhale. Pelvic floor lifts, the low belly presses back. Try and narrow through the waistline. And try and stay as relaxed in your upper body as possible, and let that go. And we'll do that one more time. Exhale, pelvic floor lifts, sink the low belly back. Draw the waistline in, draw the ribs down. Interlace your hands together behind your head. So I like to do hands behind the head because a lot of times we compensate for lack of strength in the core by pushing the head forward like this, right? So as much as possible, let your head be heavy against your hands. Angle your elbows about halfway up to the sky. Now really squeeze the block. Squeezing your inner thighs into the block is going to help you connect to the pelvic floor muscles, which is going to help you connect to the deep layer of the abdominal muscles. Lengthen out through the top of the head and then curl up. So there is a little bit of forward action, but mostly just try and lift your breastbone straight up to the sky. Keep squeezing the block and scooping your belly down. Keep squeezing the block and then just extend one leg so your thigh bones are parallel. And then lower that down, squeeze the block, extend the other leg, head heavy into the hands. Scoop your low belly back, maybe curl up a little higher. And then extend. So it's a little march. Lift your shoulder blades away from the floor and then extend, head heavy into the hands. And let's just do one more on each side. Extend. And last one. And lie back. Take a breath. Interlace your hands together behind your head. Exhale, curl up. It's the same thing. You're going to extend. This time you're going to switch mid-air. 2, 3, 2 more. 4, no rocking in the pelvis, please. 5, extend both legs. Squeeze the block, sink your belly down, curl up higher, and then release. Take a breath in and out. So we're going to do that, something similar to that. You're going to take your block and then wedge it between your heel and really just below your bottom. Right? So you can have that foot on the floor to start, and then really like feel the muscles that you need to engage to squeeze the block right there. Again, interlace the hands together behind the head. Exhale, curl up, sink your belly down, lift, squeeze, and then head heavy, and you're gonna lower that foot to the floor. It might tap, it might not, and then lift. So I have to readjust the block a little bit. There you go. So the block is really kind of more like mid-thigh, and then lowering, curl up a little higher, and lift. This block is not ideal. The heavy cork blocks are a little better to do this with, and lower, and lift. Curling up a little bit higher and lower, and lift, head heavy. Sink your low belly down, curl up higher and lower, and lift. Take your block, switch sides. Four more. Keeping pelvis stable, keep scooping the low belly back, lift your breastbone up, squeeze the block against your thighs, soften through the neck as much as possible. 2, last one, and then lie back and rest. Okay, now you're gonna please take your block up to this higher height, and then bring your elbow and your thigh to the block. Take the opposite hand behind your head. And then as you exhale, curl up just a little bit. Now pull, as you exhale, pull your belly down, and then pull the arm and the leg against each other. And they don't really go anywhere because the block is in the way. 5 breaths like that. Inhale, easing up a little. Exhale, sink the belly down, press into the block. 4, 3, 2, last one. Take the block, lie back and rest. And second side, this is the last one that we'll do. Hand behind your head. Just breath in. And exhale, curl up just a little bit. Mostly you're trying to compress against the block. 5 breaths. Every inhale, you can ease out a little bit. Every exhale, go a little bit into it. A little bit more. So every time you do it, it's with more effort than before. 2 more breaths. And last one. And then lie back and rest. Okay, and then this time both legs together. So you have to turn your block a little bit lower. So the knees are definitely going to come over your hips here. Elbows to the block, fingertips touch. Exhale, curl head and shoulders up. Just ending with something symmetrical for 4 more. And 3. Pull the legs against the block. 2, 1 more breath. And then lie back and rest. Good. Drop your feet down about mat distance apart. Let your arms soften by your sides. And slowly sway the legs from one side to the other. So if any tension crept up into the hip flexors, releasing here. Just bringing a little bit of movement into the low back. And pause. And then extend the right arm up on the high diagonal and turn your face away from the hand. One more breath here. And turn your head to neutral, and then we'll switch sides. Turn your head to center. Roll to your side. This time take your block and put it at its lowest height underneath your shoulder blades. So you're going to lie back on your block. So we did a lot of trunk flexion and hip flexion. So we're just going to do a little bit of extension. Straighten the legs. Support the head, the neck with your hands. And then start to arc back over the block. So you really got to find the sweet spot for you. It's going to be, you know, slightly different for all of us depending on your proportions. Flex your feet. Press your thighs back into the floor. It'll get you more curve through your low back. It's perfectly all right, as long as you're not feeling any tension in your lower back. Let your elbows gently pull out to the sides. Rest your head back. A few more breaths. And then one at a time, bend your knees. Carefully roll off the block and up to sit. So that concludes our core work practice for today. I hope you're feeling strong and center. This is definitely one to do a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for practicing. Namaste.